So being arrested is usually the worst night of your life. Being taken in handcuffs to the jail and being booked is just this terrible, traumatic experience. Once you bond out, you're going to want to confer with criminal defense attorneys as quickly as possible. This is not the time to look for a personal injury attorney or somebody that does divorces and a little criminal law on the side. You're going to want to hire a law firm or an attorney that does nothing but criminal defense. I always think about it like this. You have these college athletes that are really good at multiple sports, but eventually they have to pick the sport they want to go pro in. That's kind of same thing with lawyers and law firms. You don't want somebody that kind of does a little bit of everything. After an arrest, consult with criminal defense attorneys and criminal defense law firms who exclusively practice criminal defense. Being arrested is the process where the police officers put the handcuffs on you. This is the terrible part. This is the part that's the most uncomfortable. A lot of times for clients, it is really the kind of the apex of the uncomfortableness. It's downhill after that. Going to court, hiring the attorneys, as intimidating as that may be, it's actually not as bad as the night of the arrest. Going to the jail and getting booked is the process of having your thumbprint and your photos and all those things that you see on TV. All that information goes into a computer, into a database that's then shared throughout Texas. That process takes a long time. It actually takes longer in bigger counties than it does in smaller counties. The process of getting booked is what happens after you get arrested. After that, you're waiting for a magistrate judge, and a judge is going to set the bond, tell you your charges, and then release you on bond, hopefully. At that point, you go back home, and you're free to start meeting with attorneys and preparing your defense. So if you're being interrogated by the police, we all kind of know that classic advice. We've seen enough movies and TV shows and YouTube videos to know don't talk to the police without your attorney present. But in the moment, it is easier said than done. And my theory on that is essentially that, if you're accused of something, especially something serious, it is human nature. It's natural to want to scream from the rooftops that you didn't do anything wrong, that you're innocent. And you want to do that as quickly as possible. And usually that's to a police officer. Unfortunately, it is often the wrong move and gets yourself kind of in more trouble than you may already be in. So the classic advice is the classic advice for a good reason. Don't talk to the police without your attorney present. So one of the most pressing things to do after an arrest is to get out, right? That's usually the most important thing. You're calling family members. The first thing is just you want to get out of jail. It's just the worst place ever. And usually that's going to be done through a bondsman. And so you'll call a local bondsman. And the advice that we give here is hire a local bondsman. When people get arrested in these random counties, we usually tell them, hire the guy that has the bond company next to the jail. They're going to be the ones most familiar with the jail. They're going to be the ones most familiar with the processes. And bottom line for you, they're probably going to be the ones that get him out as quick as possible. Bond companies are going to take a percentage of what the total bond is, and they're going to keep that. All right. So let's say the bond is $75,000. A bond company might charge you 10%, which is $7,500. You're not going to get that $7,500 back, but in exchange, they're going to post the $75,000 bond with the jail. Your loved one's going to get out, and now they are officially on bond. So when you're released on bond, this is the time where you really want to get proactive. One of the biggest mistakes we see from clients is that they kind of sit and pretend that it didn't happen. Maybe they're so traumatized by that terrible arrest or the accusation that they kind of try to avoid it. But the truth is, particularly in Texas, cases just don't go away, right? So if you are arrested, you're going to get charged. Eventually, you're going to end up in court. Even that time frame might take longer than expected. You really want to use that time to put your best foot forward because you're going to end up in a courtroom. You're going to end up in front of a judge and in front of a prosecutor. And you don't want to be the defendant that has been doing nothing for the past 3 or 6 months. You want to be the defendant that walks into the court and who's been doing right, who's been taking classes, who's been taking mitigation, who's been doing all the things necessary so that the judge and the prosecutor are looking at cutting you a break, right? You don't want to take that time for granted. So, my advice is always after an arrest, meet with your attorney, get some mitigation, get going, take control of the situation. And that's how you're going to get the best outcome when you eventually do go to court. So your first court date, it's a lot like going to school. And just like going to school, you don't want to be late. People always underestimate the amount of time it takes to find parking and get through security, especially in bigger counties, right? You want to get through security and get into the courthouse. In most courthouses in Texas these days, they've got big screens that tell you where to go and where your courtroom is. Find your courtroom, and then at that point, it is like being in school. You're going to sit and you're going to be there, not by yourself. It's not like TV. You're going to be there with 30 or 40 other people that are all arrested on similar charges. The judge is going to come out and he is going to call roll. In court, they call it calling docket. And basically, it's just calling all the names of the people that have court that day. And just like in school, you're going to stand up, you're going to say, I'm here, I'm present. And then that's it. You're going to sit down, you're going to wait for your attorney to appear. Most of our clients tell us that first court date, they're so nervous about it, but at the end, it's actually pretty anticlimactic. Most cases are not resolved and should not be resolved in one court date. So more than likely after that, your case is going to get reset to allow the prosecutors and defense attorneys to do their jobs, and you'll come back in about 30 or 45 days for a second hearing. So it can be intimidating, it can be scary having to go to court. Any questions, any concerns, want to know more about the process, give us a call at BRCK Defense. We've handled hundreds, if not thousands of cases just like yours.